My sister tried to destroy my relationship with lies, but instead, she exposed herself, and we ended up stronger than ever. If you had told me a year ago that my own sister would try to destroy my relationship, I would have laughed in your face. I mean, sure, Emma 20F and I 26F have never been best friends. Growing up, she was always the golden child, spoiled, coddled, and always getting her way, while I was expected to be the mature one who understood. It was a dynamic I learned to live with. Annoying? Absolutely, but something I could ignore most of the time. At least I thought I could. What I never expected was for her to take things this far, because a few months ago, Emma decided that if she couldn't control my life, she'd try to ruin it instead. And the best part? Her little plan backfired spectacularly. So let's rewind a bit. I've been with my boyfriend Jake, 28M, for about 2 years now. And to put it simply, he's amazing. The kind of guy I never thought I'd be lucky enough to have. Kind, patient, funny, and most importantly, he actually listens when I talk. Which, if you grew up in my family, is rare. From the beginning, Jake saw right through my parents' favoritism. He picked up on how they always prioritized Emma's wants over my needs, how my accomplishments were brushed aside, while Emma got a standing ovation for existing. And unlike everyone else in my life, Jake didn't just accept it as the way things are. He never played into their nonsense. He treated me like I actually mattered. And I think that pissed Emma off more than anything. At first, she kept it subtle, snide remarks, little jabs disguised as concern, trying to insert herself into our relationship in small ways. She'd say things like, "Wow, you guys are always together. Don't you ever get tired of each other?" Or, I wouldn't want to settle down so young, but if you're happy. Little comments that didn't seem like a big deal, but always carried an undertone of judgment. I ignored it. I had gotten pretty good at tuning her out over the years. But apparently, Emma took that as an invitation to up her game, because one night, completely out of nowhere, Jake got a message that changed everything. It was from Emma. "Hey, I need to tell you something about my sister. I think you deserve to know the truth." When Jake showed me the message, I felt my stomach drop. I had no idea what she was about to say, but I knew it wasn't good. I stared at Jake's phone, my mind racing. "What the hell are you talking about?" I muttered, my pulse pounding in my ears. Jake frowned, holding the phone between us like it was a bomb that might go off. "I have no idea. Should I answer?" I exhaled sharply. "Yeah, let's see what she has to say." I watched as he typed out a response. "What do you mean?" Seconds later, the typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again, then finally, her message popped up. "Look, I know you love my sister, but I think you need to know what kind of person she really is before you go any further with her." I felt like my body had been dunked in ice water. Jake glanced at me, clearly waiting to see if I had any idea where this was going. I shook my head, completely stunned. "What the actual?" I whispered. "What is she even trying to imply?" Jake didn't answer. He was already typing back. "What are you talking about?" This time, Emma didn't hesitate. "She's been lying to you about a lot of things, and I didn't want to say anything, but I think you should know before you make a mistake." I had never wanted to throw my phone at a wall so badly in my entire life. Jake was calm, too calm. His jaw tightened slightly, but he wasn't reacting the way I expected someone to react when being told their girlfriend was supposedly a liar. Instead, he took a slow breath, then sent another message. "What exactly has she lied about?" Emma's response came immediately. "She's not who you think she is. She lies all the time. She lied about her job. She lied about how she got into college. She even lied to our parents about you." I choked on my own breath. "What? What is she even?" My voice was rising, but Jake put a hand on my knee, steadying me. He wasn't freaking out. That should have reassured me, but I was livid. Emma was actually sitting there, fabricating lies about me to my boyfriend, trying to make him doubt me, but Jake wasn't biting. "What did she lie to your parents about?" he asked. Emma took her time answering this one. "She told them you were thinking of proposing. That's why they don't like you. She said she doesn't even know if she wants to be with you long term, but she's staying because she doesn't want to start over." For a solid 10 seconds, I was too stunned to speak. Then, the anger hit me like a freight train. I grabbed my own phone and started typing furiously. "What the actual is wrong with you?" She saw it instantly. The typing bubbles popped up, then stopped. Then, A single response. I was just trying to protect you from making a mistake. Oh, that was it. Jake took the phone from my hand before I could launch into a full-on, all-caps rant. He exhaled slowly, then, calm as ever, sent his own response. I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's pathetic. And by the way, we have talked about marriage, but not because of whatever twisted lie you made up, and definitely not because OP feels stuck with me. We've talked about it because we're happy, and you're not going to change that. Emma didn't answer. She left him on read. Then, 2 minutes later, I got a single message from her. You'll regret this. And that's when I realized she wasn't just trying to break us up. She was furious that it hadn't worked. And if I knew Emma, she wasn't done yet. Emma had tried to break us up, and when it didn't work, she doubled down. The night she sent those messages, I barely slept. My brain kept replaying everything she had said, twisting it around in 100 different ways. Did my parents really believe I was trapping Jake, that I didn't actually want to be with him? That I was only staying because I didn't want to start over? It didn't even make sense. I had never once said anything remotely like that. I loved Jake, I loved us, and I had been nothing but clear about that. But Emma? She saw what we had and hated it. And the worst part? I had a sinking feeling she wasn't done yet. I was right. The next morning, I woke up to a new text from my mom. Call me, we need to talk, I groaned, tossing my phone onto the nightstand. Jake, still half asleep, rolled over beside me. Let me guess, Emma? I let out a dry laugh. Who else? He sighed, rubbing his face. You gonna call her? Not yet. I need caffeine before I deal with that mess. I made coffee, trying to mentally prepare myself. When I finally called her back, I didn't even get a hello. You need to apologize to your sister, Mom snapped the second she picked up. I blinked. For what? Mom sighed dramatically. For attacking her last night. She was just trying to look out for Jake. I actually laughed. You cannot be serious. Emma told me everything, she continued, completely ignoring me. She said she tried to warn Jake because she was worried about him, and you completely overreacted. Oh, of course she spun it that way. So, just to be clear, I said, gripping my coffee mug so tightly I thought it might crack, Emma lied to my boyfriend to try and break us up, and I'm the one who needs to apologize? Mom made a dismissive noise. She didn't lie. She just misunderstood some things. And she was concerned. She didn't want Jake to make a mistake. A mistake? My voice came out sharper than I intended. Mom, do you even hear yourself? This isn't some random relationship drama. Emma deliberately tried to sabotage something important to me, and you're actually defending her? You're blowing this out of proportion. I let out a humorless laugh. Right, because Emma is the victim here, and I'm just the evil, overreacting sister. Sweetheart, she said, slipping into that patronizing tone she always used when trying to guilt me. You know how emotional Emma is. She's just trying to protect the people she cares about. I had to take a deep breath to keep myself from yelling. Okay, so when exactly has Emma ever tried to protect me? Silence. That was the real kicker, wasn't it? Emma always played the role of the concerned little sister when it benefited her. But when had she ever looked out for me? When had she ever cared about my happiness? Mom didn't have an answer. Instead, she let out another dramatic sigh. Look, I just think it would be best if you two sat down and talked this out. As a family. No. Her voice sharpened. Excuse me? I said no, I repeated. I'm done. I'm not talking it out so Emma can twist the story and make me look like the villain. She can live with the fact that her little scheme didn't work. You're really willing to throw away your own sister over this? I let out a bitter laugh. No, Mom, Emma's the one who made that choice. I'm just finally choosing myself for once. She huffed. Well, I hope you can live with that decision. I smiled. Oh, I definitely can. And then I hung up. Jake was watching from the doorway, arms crossed, looking both amused and completely unsurprised. How'd that go? I exhaled, shaking my head. Exactly how you'd expect. He walked over, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Proud of you. And honestly, I was proud of myself too. But unfortunately, Emma still wasn't done, because 3 days later, she went nuclear. She showed up at Jake's workplace. Jake called me on his lunch break, his voice somewhere between pissed off and amused. Guess who just showed up at my office? My stomach dropped. Oh, You have got to be kidding me. I wish. He sighed. She asked the receptionist to call me down for an emergency. She looked all distressed, like she was about to drop some life-changing news. What did she even say? He snorted. Well, first she did that whole dramatic pause thing, like she was about to reveal something shocking. Then she looked me dead in the eye and said, I just think you should know that my sister is cheating on you. I nearly choked on my drink. What? Jake actually laughed. I swear to God, she said it with a straight face, like she thought I'd just believe her on the spot. I was seething. How did you respond? I asked her for proof, he said simply. And shocker, she didn't have any, just some vague, I've seen things nonsense. When I pressed her, she got flustered and said she didn't have to prove anything to me. I groaned, rubbing my temples. He's desperate. Yeah, I noticed, he said dryly. She also threw in some crap about how you settled for me because you were too afraid to be alone. I let out a humorless laugh. Wow, she really went for it, huh? Oh, the best part? Jake sounded downright gleeful now. When I told her I knew she was lying, she got all offended and asked why I didn't believe her. I raised an eyebrow. And what did you say? He smirked. I said, because I know your sister and I know you. I swear, I almost fell in love with him all over again. Emma, apparently, had stormed off in a huff, pissed that her dramatic performance hadn't worked. And now I had a decision to make. Because if Emma thought she could just walk all over me and Jake without consequences, she was dead wrong. She wanted to play games? Fine. I was done sitting back and letting her get away with it. Emma had officially lost her damn mind. Trying to plant doubts in Jake's head through texts? Annoying. Dragging my parents into it? Predictable. But showing up at his workplace to accuse me of cheating? She wanted war, and she was about to get it. After Jake told me what happened, I was livid. I had put up with Emma's nonsense my entire life, let her manipulate situations, let her turn everything into poor Emma versus the world. But this? This was next-level insanity, and I was done pretending it was just Emma being dramatic. She wasn't just stirring up drama. She was actively trying to ruin my life, and I wasn't about to let that slide. I took a deep breath, trying to think rationally. There were a few ways I could handle this. 1, call her and scream at her. 2, confront her in person and publicly humiliate her the way she had tried to do to me. 3, expose her lies so thoroughly that she wouldn't be able to weasel her way out of them. Guess which one I picked? I waited until the weekend. Jake and I had already planned to visit my parents for dinner, something I was already dreading, and instead of canceling, I saw it as the perfect opportunity. If Emma wanted to play dirty, then she could face me in front of the whole family. The second we walked into my parents' house, I could feel the tension. Emma was already there, sitting on the couch, looking smug as hell. Mom greeted Jake way too nicely, which instantly confirmed what I already knew. Emma had absolutely been talking to her. Dad, on the other hand, barely looked up from his phone, not unusual for him. We sat down, and before I even got a chance to start eating, Mom hit me with, "So, I heard some interesting things this week." Jake gave me a look. I gave him one back that said, "Watch this." I took a sip of water and set my glass down. "Oh? Like what?" Mom sighed dramatically. "Emma told me what happened at Jake's workplace." I pretended to look confused. "Oh, you mean when she showed up uninvited and embarrassed herself?" Emma gasped like I had just slapped her. "Excuse me?" Jake, ever the supportive boyfriend, nodded. "Yeah, it was pretty weird. I was in the middle of work when she randomly showed up making wild accusations." Mom frowned. "She was just trying to look out for you." Jake tilted his head. "By lying?" Emma jumped in, her voice all high and indignant. "I was not lying." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so you do have proof I cheated? Go ahead, show us. Right now." The room went dead silent. Emma's face turned bright red. I don't have to prove anything," Mom sighed. "Sweetheart, just calm down. We don't have to make this a big fight." "No, actually, we do," I said, sitting back. "Because I'm sick of this." Dad, finally looking up from his phone, raised an eyebrow. "Sick of what?" I looked straight at him. "Sick of Emma trying to ruin my life. Sick of her always being the victim, no matter what she does. And sick of everyone, including you, Mom, defending her every time she pulls this crap." Emma gasped again. "I cannot believe you're saying this about me." Jake sighed. Emma, you literally showed up at my job and told me OP was cheating on me. That's not something a loving sister does. Mom opened her mouth, but I cut her off. No, Mom. I'm not letting you twist this. Emma has spent months trying to get between us. She sent Jake texts, lied about me to you, and when that didn't work, she showed up at his job to spread more lies. Emma turned to Dad, desperate. Do you see what she's doing? She's attacking me in front of everyone. Dad shrugged. I mean, you did do all that, right? Emma's mouth dropped open. I blinked. Mom looked shocked. David, how can you say that? Dad set his phone down. Because I'm tired of the drama. And honestly, this time, Emma, you messed up. You don't show up at someone's job and make accusations like that. That's insane. Emma looked like she was about to burst into tears. I was trying to help, I crossed my arms. No, you were trying to sabotage my relationship because you can't stand that Jake actually loves me and doesn't worship the ground you walk on. Jake casually took my hand and squeezed it. For the record, nothing she said made me doubt Opie for a second. If anything, it made me realize just how insecure Emma is about her own life. Emma let out a wail and ran out of the room. Mom looked between all of us, clearly struggling with whether she should chase after Emma or keep defending her. Dad sighed and picked his phone back up. Well, that was dramatic. Jake smiled. Yeah, she does that a lot, huh? Mom glared at both of them before standing up. I hope you're happy, she snapped at me. Then she stomped out of the room after Emma. I looked at Dad. You finally get it, don't you? He shrugged. I mean, yeah, I always kind of knew she was a brat, but I figured she'd grow out of it. He gestured toward the hallway. Guess not. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't crazy. Jake and I left shortly after, but not before Dad quietly told me, don't let her ruin what you have. She's miserable, and she wants you to be too. I never thought I'd hear my father say something like that. And the best part, Emma's plan had done the opposite of what she wanted. Jake and I had never been stronger. She wanted to break us up. Instead, she made us realize just how solid we really were. And her final meltdown? It was still coming. Emma ran out of the room crying, and Mom chased after her like she had been the one attacked. Jake and I sat there for a second, letting the silence settle, before Dad sighed, grabbed the remote, and unpaused the game he had been watching. Well, that was dramatic. I let out a surprised laugh. Yeah, it was. Jake just shook his head. Does she always pull this kind of crap? Dad didn't even look up from the TV. Yep. And just like that, it was over. Or at least, I thought it was. Because while I was feeling weirdly victorious, Emma wasn't quite ready to admit defeat. No, she had one last move left, and it was even more pathetic than I expected. The next day, I woke up to about 100 notifications on my phone. Emma had gone full meltdown mode on social media. She had made a long, dramatic post about how some people in her life had betrayed her in the worst possible way, and how family should come before everything, but some people are too selfish to care. It was the cringiest, most passive-aggressive thing I had ever seen. And the comments? Divided. Some of her friends, who clearly didn't know the full story, jumped in with, OMG, who did this to you? You deserve better. Meanwhile, other people who actually knew us both, weren't buying it. One of my cousins straight up commented, is this about you showing up at your sister's boyfriend's job to lie about her? Because that was insane. Another added, Emma, if you're going to post vague drama, at least be honest about why you're upset. I actually cackled. Jake, reading over my shoulder, grinned. Damn, they're roasting her. Good, I muttered. She deserves it. Emma, of course, immediately started backpedaling. She replied to every comment with some variation of, I don't want to talk about it, or I'm just hurt, that's all. Like she wasn't actively fishing for sympathy. The best part? The post completely backfired. Instead of getting the pity party she clearly wanted, she ended up exposing herself. And I didn't say a word. I didn't comment. I didn't message her. I didn't acknowledge the post at all. Because at the end of the day, Emma wanted a reaction. She wanted to drag me back into her never-ending drama spiral, where I'd have to defend myself while she played the victim. And I refused to give her that satisfaction. A few days later, Mom called. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. The second I picked up, she sighed dramatically. Well, I hope you're happy. I smiled. I actually am. She ignored that. Emma is devastated. She says you've completely turned the family against her. I laughed. No, Mom, she did that all on her own. Mom groaned. She was just trying to protect Jake. I let out a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. No, Mom, she was trying to control me, and when that didn't work, she tried to ruin my relationship instead. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that's okay. Mom's voice got sharper. So what, you're just cutting her off? That's your sister. I'm setting boundaries, I corrected. I'm done being the punching bag every time she wants attention. She's family, and she's toxic. Mom was silent, because for the first time ever, I wasn't backing down. I wasn't apologizing. I wasn't explaining myself. I was just done. After a long pause, she exhaled. Well, I guess that's your decision. It is. Another pause. So are you coming to Thanksgiving? I laughed. Depends. Is Emma going to be there? Of course. Then no, Mom gasped like I had just murdered someone. You're skipping a family holiday over a little fight? No, I'm skipping it because I don't want to spend my time with someone who actively tried to ruin my life. Mom started another rant about forgiveness and family, but I had heard it all before. I cut her off. I gotta go. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And then, for the first time ever, I hung up on her. And let me tell you, it felt amazing. It's been a few months since all of this went down. Emma and I, we don't talk. Mom still tries to guilt trip me occasionally, but I keep my distance. And Jake? We're stronger than ever. If anything, Emma's insane sabotage attempt only made us realize just how solid we are. We trust each other completely, and we're not letting some bitter, jealous drama queen get between us. And the funniest part? Emma still can't stand it. Apparently she expected me to come crawling back after a while, like I always used to. But instead, I'm out here living my best life, unbothered. And I think that infuriates her more than anything. Because at the end of the day, Emma wanted to destroy my happiness. Instead, she made me realize just how much better my life is without her in it. And I have zero regrets.